today's song breakdown. Today we are with Riley and the Roxies breaking down Swim Through the River. I'm your host, Monako Davis. I am the head of A&R and sync licensing and also co-owner of Ildefonso Inc. Today we have Spencer Riley Alfonso, who is usually the host of this show, but today he is in hot seat. Spencer, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Spencer Alfonso, and like Mo said, my role is kind of creative director, and I am also a co-owner of Ildefonso with Mo. And yeah, I usually host this show, so it's fun to sit where the guests normally sit. So yeah, I'm noticing things from a whole different angle.
Yeah. Great. Well, for those who don't know, Ildefonso Inc., we are a full-service sync house and music agency. We are passionate about digital entertainment and media. Today, we are highlighting one of Spencer's songs from his project, Riley and the Roxies. It is called Swim Through the River. Spencer, why don't you tell us a little bit about this track?
Yeah, so Swim Through the River is a song that I believe I wrote towards the end of Lasso, the album, which is the second album by Riley and the Roxies. And I made that album with my friend Dan Bailey and my other friend Zach Esposito and my other friend Mary Ives and another friend Ruben Cohen. And Mo actually did all of the art. So that's the squad for Lasso, and a lot of the writing, I think I wrote all of these songs by myself. And so, another friend, Brandon Burr. But yeah, so I think I wrote all of these songs by myself in our garage, and we had just moved, and I was very inspired by the California desert, and I wanted a song that felt older than the other songs in terms of influence and arrangement. Like, I didn't want it to feel hi-fi. I wanted it to feel swampy, bluesy. I listened to a lot of Tom Waits at the time, and I really liked the way they engineer Tom Waits's records. And for me, songwriting as Riley and the Roxies usually comes from like engineering and studio ideas, and then the lyrics kind of fit the vibe. So yeah, this was the last song, or one of the last songs I wrote for the album. And I think that was like 2022 or 2021. It came out in 2022, April 1st. I didn't know that.
Hey.
Yeah. We must have just picked a Friday.
I think so.
So April Fool's.
Yeah.
About some component. We don't know which part of it was the April Fool's.
Gotcha.
So yeah. But yeah, that's a little bit.
So you mentioned you were listening to Tom Waits at the time.
Yes.
Were there other influences involved for this song and even broader the Riley and the Roxies record?
Yeah, so when I started Riley and the Roxies, I was really inspired. Very first EP, it was like 5 songs. I was really inspired by artists like Prince and Stevie Wonder, but then also I really liked garage rock, like the Stooges and the Strokes and stuff that the Hives. So I was always kind of torn in two directions of pop and rock, and as the sound has kind of evolved with my own tastes and experiences, it's become a little grittier, I think. I think there will always be those roots of loving artists like Al Green and like Motown records, but I think as my voice has evolved throughout the years, I've been able to kind of narrow those influences down per record, and this house was a really big inspiration, and just driving through California, and so I think we were digging through a lot of vinyl stores, and this was 2022 and 2021 were the years that I got really into Neil Young. And so I would read a lot of books and watch a lot of documentaries of other artists from that era. Like, I liked learning about the artists who grew up in the 60s as like boy bands, or pop bands and then transitioned into more rock and psychedelic. And I think this was also the record where I discovered that I really like the psychedelic component of a lot of my favorite bands. And so Bob Dylan, Tom Waits, Neil Young, Joan Baez, Joni Mitchell, Fairport Convention with Sandy Denny. So a lot of that kind of music, folk rock basically, was a big influence. And but I also wanted it to feel a little bit modern. So bands like Nine Inch Nails and kind of that DIY. And I think that's also the Prince component for me. Is I love the way that Prince's records sound. They're very personal in the engineering and the production. So I wanted to not lose that component of a Riley and the Roxies record while injecting a little bit of a folksier sound. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's a very cool clash of eras and genres. I love that.
Yeah, totally. I feel like our tastes kind of merged on this record because I've always liked really loud music and you've liked softer music.
Things that will put anyone else to sleep.
It's definitely, I think, as far as influences go, it's an amalgamation of both of our tastes probably. Mm-hmm. More so than past records.
Which is why I would have to say it's probably my favorite Riley and the Roxies record.
Good. Yeah, I think it was healthy for me to be challenged by your folk taste because I think what it made me realize is how important lyrics are. And growing up in bands, I was always just like, quick, scribble something down. and like poorly written lyrics become... like you write them in 5 minutes. And I just remember in junior high being like 10 and 11 year olds like fighting over the agendas of our music. Mm-hmm. And it's like I always look back at that time like I should have just shut up and played the drums because I had band members who were way smarter than me. And I should have just listened to them because they read and were smart and listened to NPR. Mm-hmm. And so as I've grown up, I've realized the importance of lyrics and also the component of working on the voice as an instrument. Mm-hmm. And that I attribute to Valerie Morehouse, who coached me leading up to this time. And so she kind of taught me how to find my voice and my range. Because I think when I met Valerie, I was coming out of like Lola. And so she was helping me kind of find my voice for the next couple things that I was writing. So I think this record was a big benefit of a combination of like focusing on the voice as an instrument, but also focusing on lyrics as being front and center and being the most important part of the record. And so
right. So you're finding your actual voice and you're actually finding your voice as an artist as well. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And that's how I look back on this record. It was when I decided to stop being so silly. It's like I love dark, creepy things, and I'm like, I can have fun making dark, creepy things. Mm-hmm. I don't have to always be so bubbly as a songwriter. I could let the music speak to those who like the dark, creepy things that I like. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a little bit more of a gothic influenced record than previous records.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think it's a good expression of what you would like, and then you have other projects for your more bubbly stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like co-writes and pop stuff.
Exactly. You can get it out of your system in other avenues.
Yes.
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned about recording this in the garage.
Yes.
Tell us about the recording process. Why the garage?
The garage, I always dreamed of having a garage that I could make loud music in, and it was definitely that. There's a lot of drum sounds that I was really happy with. When I ran out of money for paying Dan, I had to play the rest of the songs. So the garage kind of became this own sound that I actually, at the end of it, was really proud of, and is a sound that I didn't intend to find, but now that I have that sound, it's kind of become my sound. And Dan has since come over and taught me how to record the drums in the room that you're in. So yeah, the next Riley and the Roxies record will probably be in the room that you're in, that we kind of call like, well, we have different names for it, but I kind of think of it as the Yeti Den now. But yeah, so I think those drums will sound a little bit different, but the drums on Lasso were really loud. And so this song was showcasing this guitar more than the drums. I wanted to try and do a really minimalist approach. So yeah, the garage was, it's a unique room, and it kind of, I think because I was out there alone, as an extrovert being banished to the garage, I think that influences the lyrics. So
for the record, he was not banished to the garage.
it was my idea, but I still felt banished.
It was a long commute.
So I think it was good for me because it, like, being alone for a couple hours would definitely make me use my imagination, which I really enjoy about this record. And yeah, it was at a time in my life where I wanted to take Riley and the Roxies more seriously, because that's a project that I've had essentially since high school. And I've always kind of, it's like carrying this project around. It's you get afraid that it's like not cool anymore. So being in the garage allowed me to use my imagination more and be like, okay, I have to make something interesting for me to want to even do this. And I think this was the record that made me go, oh, I actually kind of had a lot of fun doing that. And I'm picturing what Riley and the Roxies could be in my 30s now.
Yeah,
so
I think this record has a lot of staying power, as they say.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why I thought it'd be a fun one to break down, because I think it's a song for both of us that we felt like, okay, now we kind of know which direction this is going. So yeah, we're always learning how to talk about our music and share our music, and this is a song that I thought would be fun to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. And it was fun.
Cool.
Thank you all for joining us on this song breakdown with Spencer Riley Alfonso from Riley and the Roxies, breaking down Swim Through the River. Check us out online. Come say hi at ildefonso.co, and follow us on Instagram at Ildefonso and Ildefonso Inc. Sorry. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Ildefonso Inc. And thanks for hanging out.